Arsenal and City have started as they mean to go on with the Premier League coming back, and they were both able to get pretty comfortable 2-0 victories in the end. I think it was kind of, as I say, kind of is what you would expect from these sides to continue doing. And you saw them after Liverpool got their win, was discussed earlier. Then you saw they would have wanted to follow that and make sure from the start they're getting that win under the belt and continuing on. And so I think it was an important result. Haaland scored for City, which is to the surprise of absolutely no one. And then Kovacic just dribbled through Chelsea's former team and then puts it straight into that top corner in probably the goal of the weekend. I mean, it probably would have gone to Ezzy's free kick if that had been allowed, which was unlucky for Palace. But that goal was unreal, dribbled through and curled. So in the end, fairly comfortable for City against Chelsea, which you'd expect would be a relatively tough game. I mean, Chelsea just seem like a shambles of a club. Same with United as well, who managed to scrape their late victory against Fulham thanks to new signing Xerxes. So they'll be happy to have got the win and their new signing to have scored. But how, to leave it that late, I know Fulham are a relatively decent side. In fact, they're not just a newly promoted side. They know how to play in the Premier League, and I expect them to still do all right this season. But they would have been wanting something a bit more convincing, even if it was at least earlier than the 87th minute. If they could have at least if they could have at least gotten a goal late first half, early second half, and then kind of held on and made it feel a bit more comfortable, that probably would have done them a bit of favours and a bit more confidence, especially after Erik ten Hag got the extension over the off season. And then City just absolute shambles of a club. They've just got so many players. They just keep signing more and more players, and I actually can't keep up with who's on their squad anymore, to be honest. It's just constantly new players in, and they all seem to just be from same positions. I mean, it didn't really feel like they needed to sign Raul Neto, but they did, and he's a good player, and so he might be all right, but was he really what they needed? I mean, I don't trust Sanchez in goal at all. I mean, Cucurella, I don't think is that great of their defense in general just kind of seems a bit shaky. So to be spending more and more money on attackers, it just feels like a owner playing FIFA. Is just how Chelsea feel like they run, and it feels like it's just going to end poorly for them. And so I hope for their sake it doesn't, but I mean, I can see them really struggling this season. Just how do you get any team chemistry with that side? So the fact City beat them isn't necessarily that surprising. They'll be glad to have at least gotten the trip to Stamford Bridge out the way, just in case Chelsea do find a bit of form later in the season. You wouldn't want to have to go there and play it then. So get that win. Arsenal fairly convincing against Wolves to get that win. I think it never really felt too in doubt, to be honest. It felt like they always had control of the game and played really well. I mean, Saka's really stepped up. Last season, I think, was kind of that big season for him where he was really impressive, and this year Arsenal will be hoping he takes another one going forward. So that was just business as usual, you think, for those teams. They'll continue on trying to get those wins. Brighton, I think, were one of the most impressive sides over the weekend. To me, I think they're able to beat a pretty dreadful Everton side 3-0. Comfortable. Everton just sucked, plain and simple. I mean, the play where, I can't remember the player's name, but it ends up getting open goal put straight across the front, missing it. I think it was still 0-0. It might have been 1-0 to Brighton at this stage, and it was like, okay, that's the season Everton are in for, and it was just dreadful. Brighton look like they'll finish top half of the table again. They'll potentially, I mean, depending how bad some of the sides in that top 7 kind of go, that they might be able to slide into it, to be honest, because I think they're really well-drilled, good side, so I think they'll perform well. They've got that cohesion. I can see them having a really impressive side, like Aston Villa have in previous years, or a West Ham had a really good season as well. I'm just trying to think. Burnley was the one that was coming to mind, who ended up having a season towards that. I can see Brighton kind of continuing having a season like that in recent years, and so I just thought they played really well, were really impressive to get it done. And Everton, this is their last season at Goodison Park before they go to their new stadium, and it would just be the most Everton thing ever for this to be the season they get relegated, and then they're in the Championship with this great new stadium, and they're trying to fight their way back. To be honest, if they go down, they'll probably bounce straight back up, but still, it will feel like a season wasted, especially if it's the first season at a new stadium. That's the last thing they need, and so they'll be hoping to turn it around quickly, but that was just not a good sign at all for them. So I don't know what to expect with Everton. I mean, I guess I expect them to be towards the bottom of the table, and it feels like if it was any other club, same team, same pattern of history, you'd be going, this is the season where they drop and this is the season where they go down. But because of Everton, and they're still quite a well-known club and quite a big club, and they haven't been relegated from the Premier League, you kind of go, oh, they'll probably just keep avoiding it. But at some point your luck runs out, and so I'd be nervous if I was an Everton fan, but I think they're already struggling as it is. So that was just dreadful. Was the first word that came to mind as I'm watching that game from Everton. I was just like, that's just how they are. They're just absolutely abysmal. Newcastle managed to get their win over Southampton, which was another good display to get it, in the fact they went one man down, which the red cards more so what I kind of want to discuss in this game. There's not really too many other talking points within the Premier League weekend, I think, for the most part, but that Shah red card, it was soft of Brereton to go down. There's no doubt about it. No one can argue that. Like, he's barely touched and he drops. But Shah can't let the referee have a decision to make. Essentially, you can't put yourself in that position. If you're forward, absolutely, if you get a head contact like that, you drop to the floor, because something like this can happen and give your team an advantage. And while Southampton weren't able to make the most of it, a better side would. And if it happened to Liverpool and a Liverpool player didn't drop, I would be annoyed, because you just got to do what you got to do to get an advantage. It's just a requirement. If the player's stupid enough to headbutt, no matter how softly the opponent, then that's on them. Shouldn't have given them a decision. And so it was just poor from Shah to get that done. And especially when it's a straight red. I think straight red's automatically 3 matches, so it's not the way you would have wanted to start his season. Newcastle will be thankful they got the win, but obviously missing now arguably their best defender isn't ideal. So it'll be interesting to see how they can go in their games coming up. But it was just one of those, you saw it and you're like, I know that's soft, especially when, like, as someone who watches sports like AFL, and I saw what happened to Rankin this weekend in the showdown, and you go, I know, like, that's, I don't want to say a proper head knock, but like, that's a bit more hard knocks. It's a bit of a tougher, and the player's getting tapped and they're dropping down, but it's part of the sport. It just is. Like, if you have an opportunity to go down for a penalty or to get your opponent sent off, you do it. And I would do it if I'm playing, I get the chance, I'm absolutely doing it. Everything you can do to give your team an advantage, you've got to do, especially if you're a Southampton side who's just been promoted. You're going to be in that battle again. You're going to do what you can do to try and get a point against a pretty decent Newcastle side who will be towards the top of the table in competing for Champions League spots. I expect they'll they got to do what they can to try and get at least a point, and getting a player sent off is required. So it's just dumb to put yourself in that position. And then another newly promoted side today that got a good result, Leicester getting a 1-1 draw against Spurs. Spurs will obviously be upset with that. I mean, their goal was a delightful ball from James Maddison into Pedro Porro, just running through with the header. That ball was delightful. But then the Premier League legend, I was actually trying to think about this today. Where Jamie Vardy steps up and scores, player of friendship. So he steps up, scores for Leicester back in the Premier League. Is Jamie Vardy the best Leicester player of all time? I don't know enough about Leicester's history to be able to actually answer that. My mind went to Kante and Mahrez, who were good for one season, so I can't really properly judge it. I would just assume yes. I'm sure they've had some other great players in the past, but if you're a Leicester fan, let me know in the comments below, or if I'm forgetting someone really obvious that might have played for Leicester, let me know. But you think he's won for the goals he scored in the Premier League, how long he's been with them through thick and thin, won the Premier League, part of that amazing side. He has to be up there, right, if he's at least not one. So it was just kind of one of those thoughts I had. It felt like when he scored, it was just like, yeah, he's back. It kind of feels like it's the Premier League again with Jamie Vardy back, and it felt weird not having Leicester or Jamie Vardy in it. So it's good to have him back. Good result against Spurs, get that 1-1 draw. I think that's big. I hope Spurs do well this season, just because I want Ange to do really well. I'd really like him to perform well and get some good results, as I really like him for everything he did for Australia. And being Australian, I really enjoy seeing him in the Premier League and getting those opportunities and doing pretty decently last year. But I think they'll be looking to press on, and if he can get a couple more seasons under his belt and keep them growing, I think they can do really well. I don't know. Spurs just feel like a weird club to get back into title contention. I just would struggle to see it. But I can see him potentially maybe sneaking Tottenham to an FA Cup or a League Cup, just something to get a trophy. I can see that happening. So I hope for his sake that if Liverpool don't win a trophy that's won by Spurs, I think that would be good. But overall, it was just, biggest thing is it's exciting to have the Premier League back. It was so good to watch. Still a couple of weeks left in the transfer window, so it'll be interesting to see what all the sides do and how that plays out. But it was just one of those, like, sitting down watching, just going, okay, it's back. My sleep schedule is going to be ruined. Now all the midnight and 3 a.m. games, trying to set alarms to watch Liverpool play will be a nightmare, but it's what you sign up for in Australia, I guess. You know you're in for it. You just enjoy the break when it comes, and at least I know it's never going to clash with other plans, at least, so that's always something. But let me know your thoughts on the Premier League round 1, who you're hoping is, or what you enjoyed seeing, how you think all your teams will go. Let me know who you support as well. It'll be really interesting to see in the comments below where you guys, who you guys support and where you guys are from as well. Would be really interesting. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. It'd be good to see the feedback. Thanks for watching. This has actually been a clip excerpt from my full-length podcast, the Armchair Athlete podcast. So make sure to check the channel for all the other clips, watch the videos in full. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on the video below. Any topics or feedback you want to discuss, throw them down below. It'd be good to hear from you guys. But yeah, as I said, make sure to subscribe and check out the channel for more.